Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here on This Is Just the Beginning. I hope you're well, I hope you've been having a good week, and a happy Wednesday. It's halfway through the week and the weekend is almost upon us, so I'm so excited. A little bit of an update from the past week. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week. I know that last week's episode was all about kind of burnout, productivity, talking about how I was wanting to have a rest from blogging and podcasting. I've had a rest and I'm back to it now, and I'm so excited. Like, you know, when you have like a week off from doing things, whether that's sport, exercise, like especially if you're, I don't know, like out on holiday and you can't do any exercise, or if you've done the same as me, you were kind of burnt out and then you had to have a week off. I'm now back to it and I'm so excited, and I'm just ready to produce so much content for you guys, and I hope that you're also feeling the same way. You're excited to see what I've got to put on there. First of all, I revamped my blog. If you've not gone over to my blog yet, it's pepetoe.net, pepetoe.net. It's a very weird word. That's what my dad used to call me. I know a lot of people always think, what does that word mean? It's what my dad used to call me when I was little, and it was very apt for my blog because it's completely me. It's who I was when I was younger, looking at my past self, and I love that I was called that. It's a very unique nickname, I guess. So that's why it's called that. And I spent a good week going back through it, and I've upgraded my website. I've changed the domain. I've really made it more personal and more like personalized for you guys. So I hope that you have seen that recently, if you've seen my socials updates about that. And I'm also sharing all my podcast episodes written up on there, kind of just a summary. I was going to put the whole transcript up there, but I don't think people need to see that. If you want to see it, let me know and I can change it, and I could put the transcript on there. But I think it's good to have a link between my podcast and my blog, and that's what I'm trying to do to get more of a bigger community around you guys, because I've got you guys who listen to my podcast, and I've got my blog readers, and I've got my followers on socials. So I'm trying to make everyone all a bit more connected. So let me know what you think about that. Because I've had a rest from everything social media and blogging and everything, I'm feeling a lot more myself this week, and I'm feeling more refreshed. And as I've said, that I just want to get back to it, and I really enjoy making these podcasts for you. But as I said in my last episode, sometimes it is a bit draining, it's a bit exhausting, and the last thing I want to do is be hypocritical or anything like that towards you guys, because what I preach on here, I try and do myself. Obviously, it's easier said than done when you're going through a low patch in the year or in the month or in the week, you know what I mean? If you're going through something a bit darker, you don't want to be doing all these self-care habits, even though you know you should. But I am trying to listen more to myself, and again, not be this hypocrite towards what I put on here, because that's the last thing I want to do. I want to be authentic. I want to be the real me with you guys. So that's why, if you've noticed over the last few episodes, I've kind of changed it to be really realistic, that okay, you're not always going to have a great day every single day. Like, that is not realistic at all. No matter if you do the exact same routine every single morning, some things can set you off in a completely different way. So that's always something to remember when you've had a bad day and you're like, why have I had a bad day? Like, nothing really bad has happened. But then all these little things can build up throughout the week, throughout the day itself. So just keep that in mind. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that I've not spoken about in detail for quite a while. And I think I have not spoken about it since either this summer or even when I first started my podcast. So if you're new here, this might be a bit of a new topic for you. I mean, they all link together, all these episodes I do. But today I wanted to talk to you about comfort zones and the feeling of being scared when you're trying new things and that kind of idea. I know in my last episode I spoke about dreams and your job and the fact that you can change like your mind over and over again. And that is especially being young. I know I did an episode a few months ago on this, but being in your 20s, you have the opportunity to change your mind over and over again, whether that's with relationships, friendships, jobs, where you live, all of these things. You don't have to settle down. I mean, you never have to settle down, but especially in your 20s, your main priority should be on figuring out what you want to do. And even if you're listening to this thinking, I have no idea what I want to do, I've tried so many things, keep trying. Do not give up, because eventually one thing will stick, or one thing will make you realize, okay, maybe I don't want to do just one thing the rest of my life. Maybe I do like to do loads of little side jobs, and that's okay too. Remember that everyone's life paths, and I know I say this a lot, but everyone's life paths are so different. So again, hold on to that when you think, why is this person more successful than me? How have they got everything figured out? They're 2 years younger than me, or whatever you're thinking right now. Remember, you're on a different life path to them. You've been through different things to them. And it's this perspective of, okay, this person might be on a different trajectory to me. But everyone's on a different, like, if you think of it like a tree, everyone is on a different branch, a different twig, a different direction going off. You're not going to be on the exact same path, ever. Even if you think you are, maybe you and your best friend are so aligned, you're never going to be going in the same way. For example, I don't know if you're listening, but my best friend Neela, I've spoken about her before. She was on an episode with me almost a year ago now, which is insane how quickly that time has gone. But she lives in Austria, and I would say she is probably my best friend, even though we talk maybe once every 2 months. But then we always speak for like hours at a time. And it's really cool because we both know German, Spanish and English. So we just code switch between all 3 languages when we text, when we FaceTime. It's so funny. If you saw us 2 in a room together, it'll be funny. And for some reason, I don't know why we didn't do that code switching in the podcast. I think we just wanted to keep the kind of English language audience, which is you guys. But I know maybe I will do an episode in Spanish or German with her sometime soon. But she does also have a podcast herself. I will tag her in the show notes because her podcast is so good. So please listen to what she has to say. But me and her, we are very similar in the way that we both believe in the same kind of spiritual things. I would say that she's a bit more spiritual than me, but we both have the kind of mindset that things happen for a reason and the universe is telling us not to do things, and the law of attraction, all of these things that I talk about on a regular basis, she believes in them too. And she is the only one in my life who I share that kind of belief system with, and that mindfulness, that mindset, the positive mindset, the like make sure you're in the present, like living in the present, all those mindsets, everything I speak on here, we share. And despite all of that, we are still in completely different places in our lives. She is off traveling the world. She has done since I've known her. She goes everywhere all year round. She's never in one place longer than a month, if that. Like, she's always traveling. And I think that is so inspirational to do. Whereas even though we are, as I said, like on the same belief system, we have the same kind of life path in that kind of area, the fact that we believe in the same things, you'd think we're doing the same things and now I'm also like a free soul like she is and traveling. No, I like to be in one place at a time. I like to focus on my career, and that's why it's so different. Like, she's focusing on finding herself right now. I'm focusing on doing that whilst also building up my career. And that's just an example of how 2 different people, even though they are very similar in very many aspects of their life, they can be on completely different paths. And it's exactly Neela who gave me the inspiration for this podcast. I've been saying to her recently how I'm scared of kind of trying new things and diving into new potential relationships, new friendships, especially the relationship thing, and I'll get onto that in a second. But she said to me, it was in German, but I'll say it in English. She said, the best things happen when you're scared. And this is, again, the whole concept of comfort zones. The best things happen when you go out of your comfort zones. You are not ever going to be able to grow if you don't step out of that area, if you don't do the scary things, the hard things. You are always going to be growing if you constantly do that. Okay, sure, sometimes it is nice to be in your comfort zone. If you're feeling very vulnerable, very low, it's okay to stay in that comfort zone, but don't do it for too long. Stay in that while you're, when you're in a low mood, that's absolutely fine. But when you're ready to try new things, do it. Do not let those self-sabotaging, self-deprecating thoughts come in, thinking that, oh, it's just going to fail if I try that, or it's not going to work out. And this is what I struggle with a lot. Whenever I'm in a really happy mood, a happy state, and I've said this before as well, but I'm going to reiterate it because I feel like there's so many of us out there who don't realise we do it. And it's taken me so many years of my life to realise this is what I do. But whenever I am in a very happy state or I'm really content with where my life is at, there's a little voice in the back of my head that thinks, oh no, wait, something bad is going to happen now. You can't be happy forever. And then that thought comes in and then it makes up something in my mind that something bad is about to happen. Then it kind of forces that to happen. I talk about manifestation a lot, and even that little voice in my head like manifests it into reality, or even just if it's with a person. So for example, in relationships or something, it makes up that kind of person in my head into a bad guy. And it's not fun, and I really try not to do it. But again, that's just that other voice in my head. I don't know whether it is connected to possibly that eating disorder voice in your head. I don't know if it's the same thing, because that all started coming out when I had an eating disorder. So maybe it is still that same voice, but they're just trying to like hide themselves a little bit better by being negative about other things, not just food. But anyway, I'm not talking about that today. But I have this tendency just to literally just make myself fail just because I don't think I deserve happiness. And this is something that you need to understand. Everybody, and I said this a few weeks ago, everybody deserves good in their life. No matter if you think you're a bad person, no matter if you have done bad things in your life, you deserve all the goodness you can possibly get. And I know that's sometimes hard to believe because you think, I'm such a bad person, and maybe it is a self-deprecating thoughts, or maybe, as I said, you have done bad things. Whatever you've done in your life, you are not a bad person. You might have made some mistakes, you might have done some bad things in the past, but those do not define who you are. Your experiences, your traumas, they do not define who you are. Sure, they help shape you, but your trauma, your experiences, your mistakes, they are not who you are. And as soon as you let go of that idea, the easier it is to, step out of your comfort zone, to feel positive things again. And again, this is something that I do struggle with, but I am really trying to work on it. On this note as well, I want to kind of read out a quote that I saw from JC's Diary on Instagram. If you don't follow her, she is incredible. She's all about wellness. I'm pretty sure she started as an ED recovery page, I want to say, but she's all about wellness. She is incredible. And she did like a little video montage on a reel with the quote over it saying, "Discipline is hard, but so is regret. Loving yourself is hard, but so is hating yourself. Asking for help is hard, but so is suffering alone. Pleasing everyone is hard, but so is chasing your dreams. Choose your hard." And I saw this as I was literally writing up my notes for this episode. I was scrolling for ideas, like further inspiration. And I saw this and I was like, this is exactly what I mean. In your life, you're going to come across so many hardships, and you're going to come up to kind of a point where you have to make a decision in your life, whether to go one way or the other. And this quote really does define that and really does explain it. And it's saying, yeah, okay, making that choice to love yourself and go down the self-love journey, that is so hard. But then so is staying in the same zone when you're hating yourself. And you can kind of turn that into eating disorder recovery. Choosing recovery is so hard, but so is starving yourself. So is carrying on with those habits when you realise how bad they are for you. And it's about that, again, that point where you always have a choice. My mum has taught me this throughout my whole lifetime. You always have a choice. Even if you think you do not have a choice, you always have a choice. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say no. You can do things for you, even if you think you don't have a voice in whatever situation you're in. You always have a voice. You always have a choice as well. And again, that's another thing to hold on to. And there's going to be a lot of advice in this episode, I believe. But we're going to carry on with it because it is something that I really do excite myself over. The fact that after a low period in my life, or, I've had a few weeks of a relapse or whatever it is, I get so down. But then as soon as I realise, no, Ellie, you need to look after yourself. You need to kind of not get back on track. I hate that phrase, but, you've got to hold on to the good things. And this is what I mean by you've got to change your negative thinking into positive thinking. When you're in that zone of negative thinking and, you're spiraling, it is really hard to pull yourself out of that hole, but you just have to pull yourself out. As soon as you realise that you're in a dark place, that is what you have to grasp onto and then climb up that damn hole with support from other people, asking for help, all of these things. You have to ask for help in this situation. It's really hard to do things alone. And as this quote said, asking for help is hard, but suffering alone is even harder in my opinion. So you've got to do the hard things in order to get better, and you've got to do something hard for yourself every single day. That's what I believe. You've got to do something out of your comfort zone every single day, even if that is going to a new coffee shop, taking a different turning on your way to work, staying at work a minute longer, locking up instead of letting someone do it at work. These kind of things. Or, I don't know, try a different breakfast if you've been having the same breakfast for a while. Just these little things, just little changes in your day really does help you kind of think of things in a different light. You're like, oh wait, I can do that. I'm not scared of doing that. My anxiety isn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I know the last few minutes have been kind of jumbled, but they all come under this thing of you've got to have a positive mindset. You've got to allow those changes to happen. You've got to allow the comfort zone to get smaller and for you to step out of it, because otherwise you're never going to grow. And that's the saddest thing I see when people are complaining all the time and saying that, oh, my life isn't as good as I wanted it to be. I don't want to be in this career anymore. Well, change it then. Why are you complaining if you have the power to change it? That's what I don't understand about so many people. They sit and complain about their life so much. Change it. If something's not serving you anymore, let it go. I know it can be hard. Again, it's another hard thing to do in your life, but letting go is easier than holding on, in my opinion. You might think it's the other way around, but this definitely applies to relationships. It is hard when you start to see that the relationship is going wrong and you don't want to be in that situation anymore, but then you love that person so much that you don't want to let them go, but then you see that holding on to that person is causing you even more pain. And it's that kind of, again, the pros and cons, the like weighing in the balance scale, which is going to be more beneficial to you. Letting go is always going to be more beneficial. You can try really hard in a relationship, but it always gets to that point where you're like, I can't do this anymore. And I know it's always a 50-50 in a relationship, or it should be anyway. But in that kind of situation, you need to always prioritize yourself. With anything, I say this, especially in a relationship. And this is what I want to get onto now, going back to what I was talking about talking to my friend about diving in and being scared of new things and all of this. I'm in a very scary situation right now. Not scary, but in my mind, I am panicking a lot. As you know, I broke up with my boyfriend 3-4 months ago now. Thank God. It feels like it was years ago now, honestly. It's such a relief. But for that kind of month afterwards, 2 months after, I turned into that kind of party girl again. And I had those months to kind of get everything out my system of, you know, partying, sleeping with guys, getting with guys in the club and those kind of things. The things I used to do when I was 16. Because these were the expectations that I made for myself, which I thought other people had of me, if you know what I mean. When I was 16, I thought the only way to be popular was to talk to boys, was to get with boys, to sleep with boys. And I did that. And was I popular? Did I feel happier? No. I was then known as the slag, or, you know, the one that always went for the guys in the year above and that kind of thing. And that really drains me to the point where, I mean, then I had anorexia, so then my libido, the desire to even speak to a guy, was nil. And that did help me, I think, realise, okay, I need to really like address the kind of relationship I have with myself when it comes to other people and relationships, that kind of thing. So I thought I'd use that time to kind of get it all out my system, because I thought I was that girl. I thought I was the girl that always got off with loads of guys in the club, because that's what I did, you know, even in first time of uni. Even though I was in such a dark place, I thought people thought I was the kind of slag of the group and the girl that was never to be seen in the club because they were off around the corner with a guy. And I was like that. And then I had a huge breakdown about it, because I thought, I don't want to be this person anymore. And I've been doing that the past couple months, and I've realised the exact same thing. I am not that person. I am someone who is either in a relationship with a guy or not at all. I cannot be that person in the talking stage, or, you know what I mean, even though I know you need to have that in order to have a relationship. But now I'm faced with this, it's not a dilemma, but this situation that is both scary and exciting at the same time. I'm sure you've felt like this before. I'm speaking to this new guy who I've met a few times now, and I really like him. And I've not felt like this in such a long time. And it's really scary, and I've even told him this, and me and him have hit it off like really well, and it's really scary. And I told him this, and my mum always said, never ever let your guard down completely at the start of something new with a guy, because some people latch onto that vulnerability. Some people like it. Unfortunately, there are those people with narcissistic traits, and that was my last relationship, I'm afraid, and that's what my ex was like. And again, it's that kind of, this is why I'm scared, because I don't want to get hurt again. And it is a very scary experience, because my last relationship was a very, very hard, difficult experience, and I didn't like it. But then it took me so long to realise. And what I've also realised that I'm doing now is this self-sabotaging feeling that, oh, it's not going to work out, it's just going to fail, I'm just going to get hurt again, I'm not going to see all the red flags again, I'm going to have people telling me, and I don't want to do that again. But then comes in the change your mindset into positive thinking. Instead of looking back at my past and remembering those experiences with negative emotions, for example, my past relationship, I was hurt, I was confused, frustrated, scared, and then sad. Then when I broke up with my ex, I'm now thinking of it as a positive. I was brave, I was strong, I was confident. I finally had the strength in me to stand up for myself after being hurt so many times. And this is what I'm, again, hanging on to at the moment, because although it was a very negative experience, it taught me so much. And that's why I'm here today, to tell you, like, you should dive into things. Regardless of the past, even if you have that thing in your brain, like I do, telling you that it's just going to go the same way, the guy's going to hurt you again. Let me tell you that not all people are bad. Most people are good. And I'm sorry that if you've dealt with more than one bad person in your life, and I know you might have this fear in you to ever get close to someone again, and trust me, I've been there. And I'm just kind of realizing that you have the power to stand up for yourself. You have the power to, like, you have the control over everything in your life. And some people don't see that, and I've not seen that for a very long time. But if you're in a relationship you don't like, if you're in a friendship you don't like, a job, whatever it is, you have the power, and only you have the power to change it. If you don't like something, again, just change it, switch it up, and just get out of there, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that if you've just had one hard day at your job, don't quit. I don't mean that. But when you've been in this hurt and this pain and this kind of resent for your situation for so long, change it, because you do not deserve to be in that situation. On the note of relationships, I have realised again that too many people get lost in a relationship. I did. I thought that to be in a relationship, you had to get lost in it. I thought it was a good thing. But all I was doing during that time was, I was the girlfriend. I wasn't a person. I wasn't myself. I lost a sense of who I was. Now I know that successful relationships are those where there are two separate people. They live their own lives. But then, if you know what I mean by this, it is like a triangle. There's you, your partner, and then the relationship as like another entity. And like you and your partner live a different life, but then you come together to be that other entity. If you get what I mean, it's kind of like a little triangle. There's kind of three people in a relationship. And that is the only way that you can have a successful relationship. I'm not the relationship guru. I'm not a counsellor. I'm nothing like that. I'm 20 years old. I don't have loads and loads of experience, but I can see it now, again, from looking at my past relationship and the ones before that, with a positive light. I have now learned all these things, and that's what I mean. The power of positive thinking is so big. It's amazing, and it does make me feel so proud of myself for realising all of this. But yeah, I am grateful for my last relationship, because I have learned all of this. It was such a negative experience, but turning it into a positive thing, I learned so much, and now I know to never, ever let myself again get lost or put up with any of that bullshit. Also, being scared is a good thing, as I've said, because the best things happen when we are scared, as that is when we learn to step out of our comfort zones. And this is what I'm trying to do with this new situation that I'm in. It's so exciting, but I get it. If you're in a similar situation, it's scary. It's so scary to let your guard down with someone new, because it makes you vulnerable. But that is a good thing. It means you trust them and you're comfortable with them. And as I was saying, like, yeah, you shouldn't let your guard down completely with someone at the start. That's what my mum's always told me. But then it does show that you are comfortable enough with them to tell them things. And that's what this new guy has told me with what I've said to him about this. I'm not going to get into it too much, because again, I don't know where this is going, but we both said that we kind of want it to go somewhere. And that just scares the absolute shit out of me, because in a way, I know I said that I'm a all or nothing kind of girl. I either want a relationship or I don't, and I can't be in between. And this is why I'm kind of, I'm just a bit squirmy at the moment with this guy, because even though we both said, yeah, we want the same thing, maybe we do want to see, potentially we want to see it go somewhere, and we are on the same page, it's just that in my mind I'm like, oh, but what if in a few weeks' time he's like, actually no, I'm speaking to someone else, even though he's told me, he's reassured me that he's not. In my mind, that is where it's going. And again, I've told him this, and he's just like, stop, I'm reassuring you, nothing bad is going to happen. He was like, I know you've been hurt before, but I won't hurt you. And I know I'm always like, that's so easier said than done, and you don't know what the future is. But then this leads me on to kind of living in the moment, and don't run from the fear that you will get hurt again. And this is what I'm saying with dive into all of those new feelings, relationships, friendships, if you're moving country, just dive into all of those positive feelings and the new feelings and the exciting and the scary and the you're not sure feelings. Dive into them all. If you believe you will get hurt again, as I said earlier, your brain will believe you and then make something up about the other person. Learn to see the good in people, because not everyone is bad. Not everyone will hurt you. And I've always crippled myself with this kind of self-sabotaging thoughts. It is my fight or flight response. Whenever I'm happy, I want to run. I want to hide my emotions. I don't want to face them. I don't think I deserve to be happy. Again, I'm working on this. So it's all about telling yourself, no, I do deserve to be loved. I deserve to be happy, to feel all of these good emotions. Why listen to those self-sabotaging thoughts? Live in the present instead, and don't trip yourself up by thinking, I'm only going to get hurt. You don't know that. Live in the good feelings now, tomorrow, forever. You never know what might happen. And even though it is scary, it's good to be scared. It's good to dive into new things, even if you're not 100% sure, because you never know what happens. And the worst thing you can do is never try. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again and again. Try everything. If you have that idea for a new job or a new career path, try it. You might be doing it for a week and then you want to quit. That's absolutely fine. Just try it. Never have regrets for never having done something, because you can't go back and change that. You have to do it now. Like right now, if you want to go do something, whether that is literally right now you want to go for a run, do it. Or whether that's right now you want to change your career path, also do it. It's a whole scale, but every little helps with that. Because then you also, again, like you kind of get it out your system, like I did with being that party girl again. Like, sure, I love a drink, I love partying. That is always going to be a bit of me. But I realised that is not who I want to be 24/7. I want to be the girl who focuses on her career and focuses on herself. And what I've also realised with the potential of having a new relationship in the future, in a few months, whatever it is, I've also realised that I will not get lost in it. And I'm in this position now where I can be strong and I can stand up for myself. And that's what I've learned in my past relationships. I always got lost in myself. And now I can finally be myself, and I can, you know what I mean? I can like say, no, I am this one person. I'm not going to get lost in this relationship. I'm not doing that again. I've been there before. And I think as soon as you've done something in the past before, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to get hurt again. And I know I'm going around in circles here, but it's so crucial to understand. Instead of going around in circles saying like, oh, I'm going to get hurt again, I don't want to go down there, just push through it, because you never know what's going to happen. And just kind of just hold on to those positive thinking, those positive emotions, because they are good. Don't kind of trip yourself up by saying, no, like I don't want to do that, and then never try, because if you never try, you're never going to know. And I said that before, and I will keep saying it, and I've said that before as well, but you know what I mean. So wherever you are right now, whether you are like me and you've got the potential of a new relationship, or you've just started uni, or you've dropped out of uni, you've started a new job, you've moved house, wherever you are right now in your life, just remember that you have the power to control it. If you don't like something, you can change it. You can go back to what you were doing before to an extent, but you can always go backwards if you need to. And that's absolutely okay. You can do 2 steps backwards, 1 step forwards, or whatever that quote is. You know what I mean? You can always go back. You can always go forward. But try and keep going forward. Try not to get hung up about your past, those negative emotions. Go forward with positive thinking. Live in the present. And I'm sure that that will just create and generate so many new things in your life, new opportunities. Again, it's manifestation as well. The law of attraction, if you put out good energy, you're going to get back good energy. It's a whole balance in life, in the universe, and all the energy in the world. If you put out bad energy, that's what you're going to receive. If you complain about everything, you're only going to get bad energy back. So learn to see the good in everything. Learn to see the good in every person. Even if you don't like this person, learn to see the good in them. Because trust me, good things are going to happen as soon as you start doing that. So I hope you have a good week, and I'll speak to you very soon. If you're wondering where the guest episode is that I promised you, it will be out in the next 2 months. I'm sorry that is quite a long time, but I will get it out very soon. As I said, everything to do with eating disorders, I don't really want to be doing a whole episode about at the moment, because it's still in the back of my mind. The relapse is still kind of trying to force its way through, but I have pushed that down. I am fighting through it, and I'm going to get through it. So whatever you're going through now as well, you're going to get through it. You're going to fight through it. We're all survivors here. We're all fighters, and we can do it. So on that note, that positive note, I hope you've got a good week planned, and I'll speak to you very soon. I've got a date on Saturday again, so we'll update you about that next week. Goodbye.